Today I'm in the Dishman Hills, got my journal with me again, and I'm going to do an activity that I learned about from the Madison Metropolitan School District in Wisconsin. Their planetarium put together this activity called a solar system stroll. And you've probably seen at science fairs and things, people make models of the solar system. Well, I'm going to make in real time, if you will, model of the solar system, which is going to assume that the sun is the diameter of this hula hoop, which is approximately 28 inches or 70 centimeters from the inside edge here to the inside edge here. So if this is the sun and the sun was located here at Camp Caro, I'm going to walk out to see how far I have to walk to get to each of the planets scaled down to that size and see how far away they are and how far I'm going to have to walk to get to the farthest planets, all the way out to Neptune and even that little dwarf planet Pluto. And we're going to also see how close the Earth and the other planets are to the sun relative to this size. The sun itself, its diameter is 1,391,980 kilometers across. The Earth is only 12,800 kilometers across in diameter. So when I shrink that sun down to just 70 centimeters, that's obviously quite a small model. Think to yourself, how close are all these planets going to be if I have the sun shrunk down to that 70 centimeters? Are they going to be close in? Are they going to be pretty far away? And how large are they going to be relative to the sun? We're going to see all those things on this walk today. Right, in our model, the first planet is going to be Mercury, which in our model is going to be 29 meters away, and for me that's about 36 steps. So each of my steps is about 75% of a meter. So I'm going to start walking. I'm going to pace off 29 meters or 36 steps and see where we end up. So here we go. So we've arrived at Mercury, and I've placed this quarter in my journal here just for scale. Again, if the sun is the size of that hula hoop, we're at Mercury now, and Mercury would be 0.24 centimeters, so it'd be about the size of that little circle right there, and here's a quarter to kind of give you a sense of that. Mercury is actually the smallest planet in our solar system, just a little bit larger than Earth's moon. And I also read that if you are on Mercury, if you could do that, and you could look at the sun would appear in their sky about 3 times the size it appears here on Earth. All right, next stop, Venus, the hottest of all the planets. 54 total meters, so that's going to be just a few more extra meters from here, so it's another 31 and a half steps for me to get from here to Venus. Venus is the hottest of them all because it has those clouds which give it quite a greenhouse gas effect. How about this? Venus is going to get to a high of about 900 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 465 degrees Celsius. Interesting fact about Venus, it rotates the opposite way of the Earth. So the sun rises in the west and sets in the east out on Venus. All right, our next stop is going to be Earth. Yes, that's where we are. And Earth is, in our model, 75 meters or 94 of my steps away from the sun. And that's another 26 and a half steps from where I'm standing right now. All right, we've arrived at Earth, and again, you can still see the lodge back there in the background from me. Earth is in a part in our solar system that is sometimes referred to, if you will, as the Goldilocks zone. And if you remember the story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears with the porridge, you know, too cold, too hot, just right. Well, you can say that about the Earth. Some places close to the sun are too hot, some places too far away are too cold, but where the Earth is, it's just right. And we can have water and we can have life here. So welcome to the Goldilocks zone. That's where we spend our time. All right, next stop, we're going out to Mars, which for me is going to be another 48 and a half steps. So we're getting further and further out from that sun. So here we go, 48 and a half steps. All right, here we are on Mars. Again, if you look really far over my shoulder, you can still see the lodge back there. The day on Mars is just a little over 24 hours, or in the 24-hour range, I should say. An Earth year is 365 days, a Mars year is 687 days. It's a pretty long year. All right, next stop is going to be Jupiter. And Jupiter is, in our model, 390 meters away from where the sun is, and that's another now 206.5 steps, 206.5 steps from where I'm standing right now. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, we've arrived at Jupiter, which is a little ways past the amphitheater on the trail out toward the Enchanted Ravine. As you can see in the background, I can't see the lodge anymore. But of course, if I was on Jupiter, I'd be able to see the sun, but it would be considerably smaller than what we see from the Earth. Jupiter has more than 75 moons. So we got one, they got 75. And it's also the largest planet in our solar system. And even as large as it is, it does a rotation once every 10 hours. That's pretty fast when you consider it takes 24 hours for the Earth to spin around just once. All right, next stop is going to be Saturn. It's going to be 892.5 steps all the way out, 714 meters from where the sun was. So I got to have 405 more steps from here to get out to Saturn. So here we go. 1, 2. Not counting the famous rings on Saturn, it would take 9 Earth diameters to span Saturn's surface. Saturn has 53 known moons, but it also has 29 other moons awaiting confirmation. This is according to NASA. That's where I got this information. So Saturn might have as many as 82 moons. And again, it's way, way out there. Right now where I am is I'm just at the entrance to the upper portion of the Enchanted Ravine on our walk. And our next stop is going to be the planet Uranus. And Uranus is going to be a grand total in our model of 1,434 meters from the sun, back at the lodge, if you will. Again, the size of that hula hoop in our model. And it's going to take me an additional 900 paces to get from here to where we get to Uranus. So here we go. We've arrived at Uranus, so we're way out on the Eagle Peak Loop at this point, trail-wise. And Uranus has 27 known moons. It also has 13 known rings around it, and it's about 4 times wider than the Earth. Other interesting things, it takes about 17 hours to rotate just one time around, and 84 Earth years to make one lap around the sun. That means in my lifetime it hasn't even made one lap yet. How about that? All right, next stop is going to be Neptune. That's the last of the regular planets, and then we're going to see how far away Pluto the dwarf is. For me, that's going to be another 1,020 steps from where I'm standing right now. So here we go. I'm still about 200 paces shy of Neptune, but here I am on top of Eagle Peak. So we've hiked from the lodge at Camp Carroll all the way to Eagle Peak, and we haven't quite reached the outer edges of our solar system just yet on the solar system stroll. Again, if I'm out here closing in on Neptune, the sun back there is the size, the diameter of that hula hoop, and Neptune's really going to be about, that big relative to that sun out there. And it's past here on Eagle Peak where we are right now, so let's keep going. All right, I've made it to Neptune. Again, I'm about 200 paces on the trail past the turnoff for Eagle Peak, so I'm getting pretty far out here in the Dishman Hills. A couple of quick fun facts about Neptune. It's about, again, 4 times the size of the Earth. It takes 16 hours to rotate once around, so a Neptune day is 16 hours, but a Neptune year is equal to 165 Earth years. That's how long it takes to make one lap around the sun. And an interesting thing, because Pluto has an elliptical orbit, sometimes Neptune is actually further away than Pluto. But from here, we're going to go out to how far away Pluto can get from us. So that's our next stop, and our next stop to get out to Pluto is going to take another 874 steps. Here we go. I have I've reached the outer edge, the southernmost point of the Dishman Hills natural area. I can't go any further because I've reached the boundary. And where I'm at right now is still 200 paces this side of that dwarf planet Pluto. So that Pluto would be out there somewhere, maybe up closer to that ridge behind us. Pluto is about 2,380 kilometers wide, which means it's about half the width of the United States. That's why I don't call it a planet anymore, but a dwarf planet. It's very, very small. It's about 2/3 of the width of the Earth's moon. And a year on Pluto, 248 Earth years. That's a real long time. All right, I don't know about you, but I think it's time for me to turn around and at least get back to Earth at this point. All right, so we finished our journey, and I'm once again standing on Earth. And again, if the hula hoop-sized sun is over there at the lodge behind me, I am about the distance I would be from it on the Earth at that scale. So one of the things we learned today is that if you're going to do a model with a sun that is the size 70 centimeters across in diameter as the inside of this hula hoop is, you need an area larger than from the Camp Carroll Lodge to Eagle Peak and even to the far south side of the Dishman Hills natural area. So if you were going to do this again with this and you wanted it all fit in the Dishman Hills, you'd actually probably have to start at the very back end of the parking lot. That's a long ways out. Now, we do have, with this video, we have a link to the activity, and it can be scaled up or scaled down depending on your needs, but you could scale this down, divide the numbers down a little bit, and you could do this maybe in a local park or in your neighborhood. And the other thing about this is that we follow the trail, so we didn't walk in a straight line. If we'd walked in a straight line, it would have even taken us further out, but the number of steps we took was just under 2 miles. That's a pretty good walk today to get out almost to Pluto on our adventure of the solar system stroll.